Okay. We are now recording, and I want to share this tab first. This is a tab, so welcome to week 4. We are now over the halfway mark for learning our alphabet. And I know that some people have been struggling with vowels. I've heard that a couple times. So I want to just go over this chart really quick. But what I want to tell you is don't forget that this is an overview to get you to know the letters and to get you familiar with the vowels. This is not saying that after this 6 weeks, you have to have this totally memorized. Just like a kid that's learning, when you start to put words together, it makes more sense and things come together better. So for instance, think about when we're learning the word cat as a kid. Once we learn cat, how easy it is to say bat, lat, tat, rat, sat. So just remember that it's circular learning, and we will go through things more than once. And as you start to see words and start to put things together, it'll make sense. But I want to look at the vowels again. So we have a couple reference charts, and I encourage you to have a couple printed out, or whatever's your favorite printed out. There's some that have both of them, so that you have kind of a reference sheet in the very beginning. Eventually, it's good to know the names and the sound, but right now, if you can know the sound. And the reason why I'm bringing this out is because I want to tell you two things. If you go online and look stuff up, just remember that there's different names for the same kind of vowels, okay? And they're also spelled weird. So holam, holam vav are spelled different. Sharuk, hirik, they're spelled really different. So make sure, at least if you're taking a minute, that you can figure out a way to remember the sound. So for instance, when you see me do this on the screen, that's to remind you that kamats, that is like that uvula in the back, that when you go to the dentist or the doctor. And the patak is that smile, patak. And then we have our sari up here, which is, you know, the E's, and the sagol, which is the eggs in the basket. And the shava, which can say something, or it may just be a syllable breaker. And then we talked about olam and olam vav last week. So we're starting to get our O's. And just remember, it's like a ball dropping on your head. Oh no. So if that doesn't work for you, think of a different or some way that you can think of the O sound. Hataf kamats for right now, hataf kamats and hataf patak. For right now, just consider them A's. When we get to grammar, those are going to do more things. They're going to be O's, they're going to be different things, but right now, they're going to be A's, just an A. You have hirik, okay, which some people say sharik, but it's hirik. And because as you can see, it's a het there. And that's your E, your mouse under your chair, okay? Hataf sagol, we haven't talked about that yet, but we are going to talk about a rule about E's. It's the 3 + 2 = 5 rule. And this is the hataf sagol. And kabutz is going to be a new one we're going to talk to today. And then the sharuk, which is if someone did a volleyball really hard to your stomach and you caught it, you'd probably say ooh. And that's where that ooh comes from. So pick whatever chart works and mark it up. Put the oohs there. Put the oohs there. Put the e's there as you learn them. And then once we put the words together, you can go back and forth from your chart to the word we're working on. And that you only need for a little bit. After a while, you won't even need the chart anymore. So I promise you about that. Okay. Now, week 4, alphabet week 4. Now, this is a harder week. People usually find this week harder because of a couple things. One, we have some lookalike letters already right on the same week. We have fe and pei right here. And the only difference is that dot or that dagesh in the middle. We have Sameach, which looks a lot like final mem. In fact, Remember, I told you final mem has to be able to stand. It has to be a flat. And as you see, Sameach is curved and rounded the whole time. Gimmel kind of looks like a noon, except for we kind of split the little end of it. And then we have Zayin, which is a new letter for us. But Zayin can look a lot like a Vav that's not written correctly, or usually people don't confuse it with Reishes, but you could. And then we have another vowel today, our U vowel, our U or U, and this is kibbutz. And I always tell people, it's like, if you think about, if you were falling down the stairs, I know these are terrible, you would say, ooh, like if you're at the edge of the stairs and you're paddling your hands and you're saying, ooh, like, I don't want to fall. It's that kind of ooh, or ooh, like in blue. Or here's another one. It's diagonal. So ooh, like a choo-choo. If the choo-choo's on the hill and the caboose starts rolling backwards, everyone's going to be like, ooh, right? So those are just some ways to remember the ooh, the ooh. There we go. Okay. Last week, we had some words too, or some letters too, that were somewhat lookalikes. We had bet with the B, the hard B sound, because there's a dagesh in the middle. So we know we have to go buh, buh, and hit it hard. We have the kaf, which I always make this, a backward C with my hand, and a dot in the middle, which makes it the hard cough. Like if you have something stuck in your throat, you need to cough it out. And then we have the het, and the het does not have a hole in it. So it looks like hay, except for the only difference is there's no hole in it. It's sealed up. So I don't know if you have a house and you're at night, you're eating your challah at night, you have to have it closed up. You can't have your windows open. I don't know if that helps or not. Probably not. Some people say it looks like a hoopah. If anyone ever has seen a hoopah is like a tent, and people get married under. When Jewish people get married, they get married under the tent. So it kind of looks like one of those party tents. So there's Vav again. And Vav, remember, does not go below the line. And you see how Vav looks like Zayin somewhat? It's got the little curve there in the down. So Zayin looks like this, and then Vav kind of still has the curve, but it's on one side. Vav, the little line, is bisected in the middle of the top. So that's how you know the difference. That's Zayin. And then, of course, we had final noon. And then we had our Shavah, our syllable breaker, our A, which is Seri for our vowel, and we had our U, which is Sharu. So that is our vowels for last week. Really quick, week 2. Resh, Lamed, Dalid. And remember, Resh is rounded on the side, and Dalid has this little dent right here. So Dalid is almost like a car drove into the Resh and made a dent. So you dinged your car, whereas Resh is just rounded. And then here's our mem. Our final mem has to have a flat bottom. Whereas if we look at our Sameach, it looks very same, but Sameach is round all the way. So we're dealing with a lot of lookalike letters. So if people find that this week is hard, that makes sense. Okay, our final week 1, which you should have pretty well mastered at this point. I'm not saying you have it totally memorized, but we should pretty good at it. We have letter mem, letter tav. Tav has the toe. Hey has the house with the hole in it, or hey, or whichever. And aleph is this X or this A, and then noon is, I say it's an unpraying, but it's just this little bent over letter. And then, of course, we had our vowel families, our AH vowels and our EE vowels. Okay. Okay, so does anyone want to unmute and try the new letters for this week? Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Pay, Sameach, gimmel, Zayin.
Okay, now, can
Oh,
you read
yeah.
them the way we read them in Hebrew?
Yes, I figured out afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes. Zayin,
Mm-hmm.
gimmel,
Okay.
Sameach,
Yeah.
pay, fay.
Okay. And I want to tell you the way you said Sameach was really good. Sameach, it ends with that little bit of that ha at the end. So great job. So yes, those are our letters for today. And again, this is our special script, which is easy to see that Zion's in the middle, that Gimel has the split, that Sameach is rounded, and Pei and Fei are exactly the same. The only difference is Pei has a penny inside or a dot inside called a dagesh, and you have to push that penny out, where Fei has nothing in the middle, and so it's just a soft Fei. Okay. Okay, so here's our Zayin. Get it splits in the middle, and he's got a hairdo. Okay, so some people say a way to remember this is zippering up your pants. If you think of the zipper goes up in the middle, don't know if that works for you, but that's Zayin. Okay, and then again, here's Pei with the period in the middle or the penny in the middle or the punctuation in the middle. Okay, so one of the ways, if you think about it as money, is Pei has a period or a coin in it, and Pei can pay its bills because it has the coin. Um, Pei also, oh, no, it's good enough. Okay, so Pei, like I said, you just need to hit it hard, the P hard. Okay, here's our Fei again. There's nothing in it. The Fei is just open, and so it's a soft. So if you think about pay as in the English, just pay, like let's pay our bills, and you think of phone, let's phone home, obviously the phone, the PH sound would be an F here. So you're just using your Fei for those F sounds. Okay. Ways to remember the Fei. Some people say if you flip it over, it's kind of like an F. I don't know. The more and more I think about this, the more and more I can't think why we ever use this as an example to learn P. And just remember, some of these examples are old Jewish examples, which would not make any sense to you. So that's why I'm like, dude, I can't say that because that would not make any sense to you. So, but it's just, there's nothing in the middle. It's backwards. If you flipped the pay over, at least it would face like an F the other way. That's just the best way. Okay, Sameach. So Sameach has that round. And there's no, it can stand up because it has a teeny bit, but there's no flatness on the bottom. It's round all the way around. Okay, some people say S for circle. Some people say that this is the snake head and here's a snake and his tail wraps into the circle. So some people, if you're bored and you put a smiley face in there, Sameach is S for smiley face. Sameach is not the most used S sound. In fact, Sameach is one of the least used S sounds, which is why it's at the end, towards the end of the class. So normally you're going to use sin and shins. There's a place for Sameach, and here is the letter. So there's 3 ways in Hebrew to say some kind of an S sound. Okay, gimmel. If you think of a person, okay, and this is one of the ways we used to teach it, is gimmel is a little guy going. His feet are going. Because he has the split. You know how the noon is sitting down, the nun is sitting down praying, she can't go anywhere. But when she wants to go someplace, she has to turn into a gimmel and go walk. I don't know if that helps you or not. So again, the gimmel has the split here. It has 2 legs. Gimmel can go someplace. None can't go anywhere because there's no foot. There's no feet, none for feet. So it's not going anywhere. Gimmel has 2 feet, so it can go. And that's your hard G, gimmel. Okay, so week 1 letters. Does someone want to do the week 1 letters for me?
Sure.
Thanks.
Mem, Tav, Aleph, Hey, Noon.
Okay. How do we remember the Tav?
It has a toe.
Yep. And how do we remember the Mem?
It's like a mountain with fire coming out the side of it.
That's how I think of it too. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Somebody want to try week 2 letters?
Resh, Lamed, Dalit,
Mhm.
Shin, then final.
Okay. And Donald, on this letter right here, the Shin, what other sound does it make?
Sin or Shin.
Exactly. Sin or Shin. So it makes 2 sounds. Okay. Here's our letters that we had last week. Anybody want to try the letters from last week? No? Okay. That's fine. Okay. So we have bet here, and it has the ball in the middle or the b in the middle. It's called the dagesh. We have the cough here, and it's got a dagesh in it well. So we're going to cough that out. We have the het here, and the het, when you think of challah, if you go to get challah French toast, that's the challah. It comes from here. And then again, we have the shin or sin. So if the first week we learned shin, the second week we would have learned sin. And then we have the final noon, which goes below the line, and it's a long letter. So that's just noon, but the nun got up and stood up, and now she ends up really tall. Okay. And then today, again, we just did this Zayin, gimmel, Sameach, Pei, and Fei. The dot fell out of this one. I apologize. Okay. Again, as we did every other week, this dot on this one, it fell a little bit farther down. So we have Zayin, gimmel, Sameach, Pei, and Fei. And then, of course, again, this is for your reference. So if you're trying to do any handwriting and you want to see the different ones, here it is. Again, remember the cursive is always the hardest to do, and normally the hardest to do. This week isn't as bad. So there's your letters. Okay, so we have line 1. Does anyone want to try line 1?
Dalit, 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 Dalit.
Actually, normally I'd say, okay, Donna, but this one is one of those weird type ones. This is Zayin. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's just, remember, sometimes, again, like I told you, depending on what typeface you have, when I did the typeface in this one, it's Zayin. But normally it would look a lot like a Dalit. So that's not an off thing to say. So why don't you try line 2, Donald?
Pei, 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 Pei.
Perfect. Does anyone want to try line 3?
I would try line 3.
Okay.
Fei, 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 Fei.
Perfect. Tov Meod. Very good. Okay. Anyone want to try line 4?
Samed, Sadi, 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 Sadi.
No, you had it first right. Sameach.
Oh,
Yep, that's the snake. The snake's tail is curling up, or it's S for circle. So try it again.
Samed, 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 Samed.
Yep. So Sameach, Sameach, Sameach. Perfect. Okay. And line, oops, sorry, got to go back up again. Line 5 is what? Does anyone want to try line 5?
Can I ask a quick question before we go on?
Sure.
Okay, so the first line was Zion, right?
Correct.
And then that differentiated a little bit from the Dalit because it's got that little curvature in there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dalit does have the dent in it, but in this typeface, Dalit would have been a straight line. Like
Yeah.
it would be dented in like a little, but it'd be straight down. And
Okay.
Zayin has the curve, exactly.
So the Lamed would have had the little squiggly thing on the top. The Dalit is just straight down, and then This one, the Zayin is got that little curvature right below, kind of like a twisted 7 maybe.
Yeah, let me just go back to double check though, because see the Zayin, it's trying to do this. It's trying to split the top of it in half and then making the little curve there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to
Good.
make sure.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying. So, whereas, hold on, let me go back here. The Lamed is what you're saying is the squiggle here, right?
Yeah, that's the Lamed. I think that's the Resh and then the Dalet. They look alike, right? So the Dalet and the Resh look alike, but then the Zayin sort of sticks the stick sticks back a little bit. It looks
Right.
like the Dalet, but it's a little bit different.
So when you have the right typeface, the Zayin will also be on a little bit of an angle. If you notice here, let's go down to here. See, the Zayin has a teeny bit of an angle on its head.
Yes.
And it's also a little bit more towards the middle, where the Dalet is, this is all fixed, and it's just like someone just put a dent on the end. So the top of it is straight. There's no angle to it. The top is straight, and it's like a car ran into the top of it and just dented. You know, it's like your kids threw a basketball at your garage door, and the door on the top is fine. The door on the bottom is fine, but they put a dent in the top. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Let me see. Okay. And then the last line is gimmel, 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 gimmel. And this is how gimmel looks a lot when you're doing typefaces, and gimmel has, it looks like 2 feet. So it looks like a guy walking. Okay. Okay. So this is a little bit easier to tell on this typeface now. When you have different letters, this is not an easy typeface to look at, but unfortunately, some of the other typefaces, when you get to some of these letters with pay and fey and you need the dageshes, they move too much. So I had to kind of work with this one. Does anyone want to try line 1?
I'll try one.
Sure.
Zayin, Tav,
Mm-hmm.
Zayin, Mem, Kaf,
Yeah.
Zayin.
Perfect. Tov Mayod. Great job. Okay. Anyone want to try line 2?
Bet, pay,
Mhm.
bet, bet,
Yep.
pay, and hach.
Perfect. Tov Mayod. Great job. Okay. Anyone want to try line 3?
I would try line 3.
Okay.
Have Fay, Lamed, Fay, Rash, Lamed, and Fay.
Perfect. Okay. One thing to remember that helps you with the Lamed is going to go above the line. It's going to be taller than any other letter. So if you see a letter that goes tall, it's a Lamed. Okay. Anyone brave enough to try line 4?
I'll try it.
Okay.
Sameach, noon, Sameach, final mem, Sameach, final mem.
Perfect. Okay. So I think, did everyone try one, or do we need one more person? I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't really do that to my husband. Okay. I can do the final line unless someone else wants to do it again.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Aleph,
Mhm.
Gimel, Shin or Sin.
Yeah.
Gimel, Shin or Sin, Gimel.
Okay. Perfect. Tov Mayo. Good job. Okay. Okay. Now, I am going to, unless someone really wants to do it, I know these move around. Like I said, I really apologize. I need to find a different program where I can do this better that doesn't cost. There's a special program, but it costs a lot of money. So, anybody want to try a speed drill line, or do you want me to do it and you guys can do it with me? What do you think?
No, we should try it.
Okay. Do you want to try line 1 since you're on, Donald?
Sure.
Okay.
Bet, Het, Zayin,
Think of a vav or a violin, right?
okay,
Yeah.
Vav,
Mhm.
Bet, Nun final,
Mhm.
and Fe.
Perfect. Okay. Does anyone want to try line 2?
I'll try.
Okay.
Tav, pay, final mem, Zayin, pay, and tav.
Okay. So take a look at this letter. Okay. I'm kind of being a little bit cruel right now. So take a look at this letter. And then if this dot was in here, what letter would you say this was?
Oh, yes. That is K, and the
Yeah.
one that I miss is Kaf.
Yes. And I always like, good job. And thank you for being a good sport. I always like to point it out to you because I find sometimes like when I do something wrong, if I like make the comparison myself right away, I tend to get it in my brain a little bit faster. So that's why I do that, not to be, not trying to be mean to everyone. Okay. Anyone want to try line 3?
Yeah,
I'll try it. I'll do it.
try. That's okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Luis.
That's Het,
Mhm.
Aleph, Dalet, Het, Shin, and Het. I think that's how you pronounce it. Or
Okay.
Het.
So het, yes, and just remember the het sound, the het. Now, again, as I remind you guys, once we get farther in, and I know you know the difference between your haze and your het, if we're actually visiting Israel, there isn't much of a difference. Unfortunately, in biblical Hebrew, there is a difference in pronunciation. So the het
Hey,
is the het. It's, you got the sound.
So do I say Het or Het?
It is technically, okay. It's technically, when you are learning as a beginner, we try to get you to say het, like pull it from the back forward, het, okay? And I over exaggerated the in the back, but it's het, like challah. Do you know what I mean? You kind of drag it forward. So,
Okay.
but can you tell me what this one was again, Louise?
Yeah, wasn't that Dalet?
Nope.
Oh, Lamed. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Lamed.
Yep, perfect. Okay. Because what is this letter down here?
Oh, that's Dalet. Yeah.
Yeah. So isn't it sometimes this is why these spilled beers are good too, because you can say, hey, wait a minute. This looks like Dalit, but I know for sure this is Dalit. So then that has to be something else. So perfect. Yes.
The little squiggly thing on top.
Exactly. Exactly. So we have Het, Aleph, Lamed, Het, Shin or Sin, and Het. Perfect. You did a good job. Okay. So I know, Tom, you haven't done one. Did you want to try one or not yet?
Yeah, I'll try line 4.
Okay. And just don't forget that's supposed to be a dot inside the letter. Sorry.
Yep. Pei, Vav, Lamed, Resh, Vav, and Noon.
Okay. Now, did you notice, everyone, does everyone notice how I've been trying to put a lot of lookalikes on this page? Like Noon and Resh, the top, or the Noon and Vav, I mean, the tops really look the same, don't they? They really look very close to each other. It's just the Noon is kneeling. So the Noon is there. The Vav looks like a violin, or it's like a note, however you want to look at it. And so I'm trying to show you that there are a lot that's the same, and you just got to find whatever that telltale mark is that makes them different. Okay, you guys are doing a great job. Okay, did we have anyone left that needs to do one, or did everyone do one?
I'll do it.
Oh, I think it's Tina
Yeah.
didn't do one yet. I think Donald. Tina,
Yeah.
go ahead.
okay. Resh, Dalit, final noon, Olive, Samet.
Yeah.
Is it Samet?
Yep. Sameach. Absolutely.
Summit. Thank you. And
Yeah.
final noon.
Okay. And so again, it's easy because look at on line 5, you can see a resh right next to a dalit. So and you can see how the dalit and the resh go this far, but the final noon goes way down, right? So it helps sometimes when you do stuff, when you can see stuff like this. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to do the whole vol review on this page. So, because we've got a mess of a page coming up again. But I guess the one thing I'll say is in the very beginning, I'm going to group your vowels. As, is, e's, o's, oo's, and i's. So there's some rules. Always have a horizontal line. E's are stacked vowels. Like the I sound, is a series of dots or a dot. And O vowels are overhead, and U vowels are they're either in the middle or they're underneath. So doesn't help much, but it helps a little. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we did this already, so I'm not going to do this again, but I just want to remind you that the vowels, they're found under the letter. Okay. They can be found over the top, or they can be found in the middle, but they're never in front of the letter. Okay. Okay. And then we have our shava, and our shava has 2 positions. One, it's a syllable marker, meaning that the next syllable starts at the very next letter. So if it's in the very beginning, it's usually not a syllable marker. It's usually what we call a vocalized one. So you don't have to worry about knowing this. When we read, you'll get this right away. So this part of shava is easy. And then in the beginning, when we're learning how to break up words to say them correctly, shavas are going to be a place where I'm going to have you draw lots of lines. So you're going to have words or paper, and you're going to have lots of straight lines where we break the syllables up, and that's where we get it. So we have the segol, which is like eggs in a basket, and then the seri, which is like the in get or in eight or in the word seri. Now, the one thing I do want to say, and actually Tom made me think about it because I didn't mention to you, if you are in Israel, one of the more challenging things is, remember I told you that some things they don't pronounce, like het and het. You don't hear the difference. It sounds like hey. Het and hey, sound like hey. The E's sound very similar. The seri and the segol, you can't even tell anymore if you're in Israel, the difference between the two. There is somewhat a difference when we're talking about biblical Hebrew, because we, again, eventually will learn about grammar and reducing vowels. And so the vowels make more of a difference in biblical Hebrew. So, but they're A sounds. And for right now, in the beginning words, you just treat them like A vowels. And then this shava, you would treat, when I do the syllable breaker thing, you would treat it as if it doesn't have a sound at all. You just do the consonant and then you move on to the next word or the next syllable in the word. Okay. So I'm not going to have you guys do this unless you really want to, but I'm just going to remind you that these are the drills. So ma, ha, na, ta. And the same thing, ta, na, ma, ha. So these are the drills if you want to say, but it's basically all an ah sound on this word. So just a way for you to practice if you're having a hard time with the sounds.
Can I ask a question about the shava before you?
Sure.
So you mentioned the shava could be an E or it could be a syllable breaker.
Mhm.
And I think you mentioned a rule about how we know when it's a syllable breaker.
So eventually I will have a whole, shava, I will have a whole flow sheet on the shava, eventually. But the first 2 rules about shava that you need to know are, if it's in the very beginning of a word, So you see like the letter Vav and you see the Shava underneath it. Or if you see like a letter Lamed and you see the Shava underneath it in the very beginning. In the very beginning, that is showing you that you need just, that's what we call the vocalized Shava. You only need just enough of the S sound to be able to say the word. So for instance, if you had a word, in fact, here's a word I wrote today, La Shalom. Everyone knows that shalom is peace, and it also means hello and goodbye, right? And when I'm saying La Shalom, I'm saying with peace, right? Well, that it's really hard to say shalom, la shalom. You need enough of a vowel to be able to get that l out, right? So la shalom is easier to say than shalom. Does that make sense? You're just using enough in the very beginning of the word. You're just using enough E or enough EH to get the word going. And that's what go ahead.
It vocalized if it's at the beginning of the word.
Yes. Now,
Okay,
when it's
short, very short, but just a very short vocalization.
Yes. Perfect. Now, when it's in the middle of the word, and there's more rules, but the first one you learn, the second of the first two words is rules, is that if it's in the middle of the word, it will be what we call a syllable breaker. And so if you have a word and it's like ba shalom, okay, and you'll after the hey, you'll have the shava. That just means the shalom is the start of the next word. It's the start of the next syllable in the word or the start of the next word. So you have to, there's a whole floor chart I have. There's a couple more. And as you get deeper in grammar, you learn more about it because you can find several shavas in a word. But the first two you need to know are the vocalized one in the very beginning and that it can be used as a syllable breaker when it's in the middle of the word. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. And once we start to read words, that's going to really, those first two are going to really jump out at you.
Question.
Sure.
With the shava underneath the olive,
Mhm.
would that be it?
Okay. So a shava and an olive should never, okay, I'm not going to say never because there's some old rabbi someplace that could pull a word out of something. Okay. But I don't remember seeing many at all olives in the very beginning of a word that have a shava. There could be, Donald, but I don't remember offhand. And so
You just wouldn't see it.
yeah, I can't even think of one. But if we have let's see. I'm trying to think if there's one in Via Hafta. I know in the V is, but I can't remember. It's in the middle. But if there was a Shava underneath an A in the middle, that would be perfect because you wouldn't say anything. It would just be the closure of the syllable, and then the next syllable would start right after it. So that would be more common where you have a letter. And I know for all of you, we haven't even started talking about open and closed syllables yet. And so I know it's kind of crazy. So that's why I'm really just kind of introducing it now, because when we talk about a shava later, you'll be like, oh, I kind of remember she said something about that. So that's why we touch it now. A lot of these have multiple rules and a lot of them mean things more when we get to grammar. So again, it's like layers on layer. First, we're going to learn to add, then we're going to learn to subtract, then we're going to learn to multiply, and then we're going to learn to divide, and then I'll give you physics. I'm kidding. Okay. Is that all the questions, or does anybody have any more Shava questions? Set? Okay. Okay. So again, we did our thing. We have our E vowels with the hirik, short, long, and the Shava. And like I said, this is what I messed, Tom, this is where I messed you up because some people put the vocal Shava in here. And I forgot to do the 3-2-5 rule. I should have put the shava in the EH and not this EE here. So now I realized how I messed you up. Now, I want to tell you something. When you learn in some the reason why I did it this way too, I realize now it makes perfect sense. When you go to some seminaries or you learn in Christian formats, sometimes they do put the Shava in here, but that's because they don't teach the 3-2-5 rules. So that's why I messed you up. Now I know why I totally did it. So I apologize. You were confused because I confused you, which is a lot of times the case. So these are all the E's. Think about mice. Think about, E. If you're jumping on it, Madison's jumping on a chair. She's going to make an E sound. These are going to make A sounds. So me, he, ne, a, te. Re, le, de, she, or se. And you would never have a vowel underneath this final mem. So that's always a trick question. Okay. We have our olam here, which is our O over the head, and our olam vav here. There are other names for it, but let's not get anyone more confused than they already are. Just think about, oh no, something is hitting me in the head, and I'm going to make that O sound, and it's above the letter. The letter is getting hit in the head with this ball. Okay. Oh no vowels are found ahead, and so I'm just going to show you this one. The vav is the vowel when the vav is a vowel holder, the vav does not make a sound. When it's just the O over the letter, same thing. So we have mo, ho, no, o, to. And it'd be the same thing here if we did this one down here. It'd still be mo, ho, no, o, to. That vav doesn't make any difference when it's a vowel holder. Okay, the same thing here. It'd be ro, lo, do, show, or so. And then the final M wouldn't have that there. That's a trick question. So is everyone following me okay so far?
Okay.
Okay. And then these are just your drills for E's. Me, he, ni, e, t. Okay. And this is your Shava. So this would be a trick question. If this was in the very beginning, okay, it would be t, just enough t or t to get the word out. Ne, me. You wouldn't really have a Shava underneath an olive. It doesn't really happen. And then he, okay, if you could do this, okay. And the same thing with the little E down here, it would be the Hirik Yod. It traveled, so the olive is kind of sitting on top of the Hirik and the Yod up there. So it'd be E, me, he, T, and ni. Okay. Okay. The oo vowels. The oo vowel, it's the ball is hitting you in the belly button and you're saying oo. Okay. You usually see the belly button on the letter vav. And in that case, the vav would be a vowel holder. So in this box, if there was a mem in here, can someone tell me what that sound would be? If you had a mem in this box and then you had a vav and this little sharik right here, this belly button ooh, what would that sound be?
Moo.
It'd be moo, just like a cow, moo, right? Or moo as in blue, however. Okay, does someone want to try if it was a shin in there, what would it be?
Shoe.
It would be shoe, yep, okay. Okay, does this make sense? Is everyone following me or is this a little confusing?
Is that called the shurek?
Okay, it's called the sharik, and there's many, many different ways to spell it. But that's one, it's sharik. And it's shoe. Like I said, when you put a shoe there, you get shoe. So shurik. You're kind of, the name of the vowel kind of tells you what it sounds like.
So
So-
the olive,
Go ahead.
the olive preceding the shur would be pronounced oo.
Ooh, exactly. And that is there too to remind you that you have the vowel holder. Vav is the vowel holder when you have the sharik. So there has to be a consonant in front of it, whether it's a silent consonant of aleph or whether it is a lamed. And it ends up being lu, right? There has to be something in front of it because this vav is just a vowel holder. Okay. Okay. And then we have our kibbutz. Now, kibbutz, do you see how it's spelled with a Q down here? Okay. It can be spelled with a K, K-U-B-B-U-T-Z. It's just like Hanukkah. It can be spelled 100 different ways. So when you feel like you're falling down the stairs, or if this is a caboose in a train and it's going choo, 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 however you want to think about it, but this is an oo sound. It's a longer sound. Think about oo as in blue. I think about tell the kids like at Halloween, boo, it's just a longer oo. So cool, pool, the oo and pool, ooh and cool. So stuff like that. Sharik is the sharik, and then kibbutz is the oo there. So I think that, does that make sense? Yeah. No questions? Okay. Okay, this is a mess. This chart is a mess. Does anybody want to try a line with me? I will help you, but this is a mess. Anyone brave enough to work with me on it?
Sure.
Okay, so Donald will show you the line. Okay, Donald, we're going to start with line 1 here, right? And I'm going to point to the vowel. And can you say what it would be with that vowel?
Ta.
Yep. And then what would it be again?
Ta.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So this,
I'm sorry. I was thinking of something else, but that's with that. Oh, under the ta, it'd be ta.
exactly. Okay. Do you want to try this next pair here?
T.
Yep.
T.
Yep, exactly. And then how about this one?
Toe.
Mm-hmm.
Toe.
Yep. And how about this one?
Two.
Yes. Okay, ready? Now we're on our E's.
Te.
Mm-hmm.
T. Or te.
It's still an F. Yep. And because these 3 are together, this one is your S sound too, okay?
Te.
Yeah, okay. Now, this one actually goes with this one because it's underneath. I left it. So what would this one be?
Two.
Yes. And then this would be what?
T.
Okay, this would be the T here. This one underneath and apart separately would be nothing, right? That's our syllable breaker.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, does anyone want to try one of the other letters with me? Okay.
I'll do it. Lamed.
You want to do a lamed? You want more? Okay, so we'll do one more example. Ready?
La.
Okay.
La. La.
Uh-huh.
Li.
Yep.
Li.
Yep.
Lo.
Yep.
Lo.
Mm-hmm.
Loo.
Yep. Here, let's do this one down here. Ready?
Loo.
Yes.
Le. Le. Le.
And then what's the deal with this one?
It's silent. It's a syllable.
Exactly. It's a syllable breaker. Okay. Anyone else want to try one more letter? Just want to give you the opportunity while you're there, but you don't have to do it. Okay. So let me just remind you, these are the A's. E, O, U, F. So I, O, U, nothing right there. Okay, those are your vowels.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Down on the bottom line, you have a vav.
Mhm.
So with the vav matched with the O, with the olam vav. Oh no, that's not an O, that's sharuk. So you have the sharuk, and the preceding character would be vowel sound would be olam vav. So if you had of a vav followed by an olam vav, it would be vo. And if you had a sharuk following the vav, it would be vu.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just that so all of those characters kind of meld together, and it looks like something else.
Right. And you can have sometimes you can put them into, I think there's a word that has a vavu in it, like a vavu sound in it. Some of them you can't though. Again, we've got another final a final N here. How many of these vowels do you think could go with a final noon? Anybody have a guess? So
Well,
basically,
no,
yeah.
no. Let's say if it's a final noon,
It's final, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, that some of them are in here to be able to point out a lesson, to say, listen, when it's a final letter, there's not much that's going to be there but the final letter. So let me see. Here we go. Okay. Okay. So I forgot that I put this in here. Faye has a final. Okay. So they consider this featureless face. This is a Jewish program that uses this. And the final has an F that stands up. So F as in staff. I don't know if that helps you. Final is a letter that comes only at the end of the word again. So we would not have a vowel at the end of that final letter. And so here's another way. And I did put this in your materials from last week. This is in that NJOP stuff. If this is easier, you can go to the lessons, and it has these vowel drills. So fa, fe, fi, fo, fu, hu. Okay. But what I want you to look at is down here. Can you see this word here? It says synagogue. Okay. And do you guys see the Shiva right here?
Mm-hmm.
So it says we have bait. So we have bait. And then we have a T. And like I said, it's T, but we can't say bait T, right? We need a little bit of an S sound. So bait Te Fila. So Beit Tefillah is a synagogue. Beit Tefillah, another name for synagogue. And you can see how this shows you how you need that little bit of S sound to say Tefillah. And again, it's our zigzag reading, and we'll go back again with that. So here's another word since we're here. Beit Sefer. Yep. Beit Sefer. So if we have a Sefer Torah, we have someone who writes the Torah, the Sefer. Sefer also means school. People who would write in ancient days were people who ran schools, right? So it makes sense that Beit Sefer would be school. Beit is house. So it's the house of school, or the house of tefillah, which is prayer. Tefillah is prayer. So we have the house of prayer, the house of school. Okay. Now we have another word, and here is our sharik, right? It's mu saf, and there's our final F. So mu, that's our mu that we were trying to get us to do, saf. So there's another example. Okay, we're getting over. So I'm going to end in just a minute because I apologize. I realized it went over. Pay has a period in it. So here's more examples. Pesach is Passover, Purim, but here's your pa, pe. So go ahead if it's easier and easier to read in the F's and P's because of my bad type, you can get that information from the NJOP information, which I posted last week. Okay. Same thing with Sameach. It's there. Okay. Gimmel is here. And I apologize. I didn't do it fast enough so we could read some of the words. Like here's Gom. Also means Gom. Gadol means big. So again, in Israel, if somebody calls you big, it's not a compliment. And then we have our Zayin, which you can see here, and it's zigzag, and there's words there. So there's your B. Here's the alphabet chart from NJOP again, and they have different ways of showing you and different ways of reminding you how you can remember a word. So don't forget that that's in your reference material too. Okay. And that is it. So I did run you 5 minutes over. I apologize, but I'm available. Does anybody have any questions, or did I lose anybody today?
How would you spell the Yiddish word shul?
The shul, it would be I think we would use the shin, and then it would be a vav with a sharik, and then it would be the lamed, shul. So, and that's another word for school. So German written in Hebrew, because we got to make it more complicated. So does anybody have any questions for me? Like I said, I just want to make sure everyone's okay. I didn't shock anybody.
Yeah, just so do the shriek and the kibbutz, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Do those two go together, sort of like the shriek maybe just a little bit shorter and the kibbutz a little longer? But the
Yeah.
same.
Yes, they're in the same family. Where did I put that? I was trying to find where I put that. So the sharik is technically the longest one, the longest ooh. I don't know. And then this is supposed to be the ooh like Susan, or the ooh like blue. But because it has 3 dots, I say it's ooh, because it's easier for kids to think of falling down the stairs or the choo-choo going down. But the kibbutz is technically the shorter ooh, and the sharik is technically the longer ooh. And one way you can remember that is the sharik will usually you need 2 letters, 2 consonants, and a diacritical mark to make the word, so it's longer. And kibbutz, you just need the mark, so it's shorter. That sometimes helps people. So the sharik, you always need an extra dot. So you need usually it always needs a vav helper. So is that a way to, I don't know if that'll help you. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Okay, so if that's it, then I'll stop sharing. Or I'll stop stop presenting, and then hold on one second. Stop the recording.